It started subtly, like a low hum beneath the surface of our lives. I'm Alistair, and until a few months ago I thought I had it all. A beautiful home in the suburbs of Chicago, a fulfilling career as an IT specialist, and a wife, Brant, whom I adored. We'd been married for 15 years, a milestone I cherished, believing we'd built a fortress against the storms of life. I was 46. Brant, a vibrant and successful real estate agent, always had a spark that drew me in. But lately that spark seemed to be directed elsewhere. It began with the late nights at the office. "The market's crazy, Alistair," she'd say, her voice tired but resolute. "I have to be available when my clients are." I understood. Real estate was demanding and Brant was ambitious. I'd make dinner for myself, maybe watch some sports, and then fall asleep in our king-size bed, the other side cold and empty. I missed her presence, the way she'd tell me about her day, her hand resting on mine as we drifted off to sleep. Then came the phone calls. Whispered conversations in the hallway, her back turned to me. If I entered the room, the call would abruptly end and she'd offer a breezy, "Just a client, honey." But her eyes wouldn't meet mine. I started noticing a change in her demeanor. She was more distant, less affectionate. The small gestures, the random hugs, the "I love yous" became infrequent, replaced by a polite, almost businesslike formality. I tried to talk to her. "Is everything okay, Brant?" I'd ask, my voice laced with concern. "You seem different." "I'm fine, Alistair," she'd reply, a touch of impatience in her tone. "Just stressed with work. You know how it is." I didn't know. I knew the Brant who sought comfort in my arms when she was overwhelmed, who shared her worries and anxieties. This Brant was a stranger, a guarded figure I couldn't reach. The first real crack in the facade appeared during our anniversary. I'd planned a surprise weekend getaway to Lake Geneva, a romantic spot where we'd spent many happy moments. I booked a cozy bed and breakfast, made reservations at a fancy restaurant, and even arranged for a couple's massage. But when I presented Brant with the itinerary, her reaction wasn't what I expected. "Oh, Alistair," she said, her face falling. I completely forgot. I promised a client I'd show them properties this weekend. It's a really important deal and I can't reschedule. I was crushed. 15 years and she couldn't spare a weekend for us. "Can't someone else cover for you?" I asked, trying to keep the disappointment from my voice. "No, Alistair," she said firmly. "This is my client. I have to do this." We ended up staying home, Brant glued to her phone, typing emails and making calls. I sat alone in the living room, the unused suitcase a mocking reminder of my failed attempt at romance. That night I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, my mind racing with unanswered questions. Was it just work stress? Or was there something more? The answer came unexpectedly, a week later. I was working from home, battling a particularly nasty software bug when my phone buzzed. It was a text message from an unknown number. "Alistair, you need to know the truth about Brant." My heart pounded in my chest. I hesitated, then typed back, "Who is this? It doesn't matter, just check her work phone." Look in the deleted items folder. My hands trembled as I walked to Brant's home office. Her work phone lay on the desk, untouched. I picked it up, my fingers hovering over the screen. Was I really going to do this? Invade her privacy? But the anonymous text had planted a seed of doubt, a nagging suspicion I couldn't ignore. I unlocked the phone and navigated to the email app. I found the deleted items folder and opened it. There, among the usual spam and junk mail, was a series of emails between Brant and a man named Kalen. The subject lines were innocuous: property updates, market analysis, client feedback. But the content was anything but. As I scrolled through the messages, my blood ran cold. They were filled with flirtatious banter, suggestive comments, and outright declarations of love. "I can't stop thinking about you, Brant," Kalen wrote in one email. "Our meeting last night was magical. I can't wait to see you again." "Me neither, Kalen," Brant replied. "You make me feel alive again. I'm so tired of the same old routine." My world shattered. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, was having an affair. The emails spanned several weeks, detailing secret rendezvous, stolen kisses, and whispered promises. Each message was a dagger to my heart, twisting and turning, inflicting unbearable pain. I stumbled back into the living room, the phone slipping from my grasp. I sank onto the couch, my body numb, my mind reeling. How could she do this to me, to us? I replayed the past few months in my head, the late nights, the phone calls, the canceled anniversary. It all made sense now, a horrifying, devastating sense. Rage began to simmer beneath the surface of my shock. I wanted to scream, to break things, to lash out at someone, anyone. But mostly I just wanted Bront to walk through the door and tell me it wasn't true, that it was all a terrible mistake. She came home around 6, her face flushed, her eyes bright. "Hey, honey," she said, pecking me on the cheek. "How was your day?" I stared at her, my eyes burning with anger and betrayal. "I know," I said, my voice low and dangerous. Bront's smile faltered. "No, you and Kalen." Face drained of color. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, her eyes darting around the room, searching for an escape. I picked up her work phone and tossed it onto the coffee table. "I read your emails, Bront, all of them." She didn't deny it. Instead, she burst into tears. "Alistair, I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Mean for it to go this far?" I repeated, my voice rising. "You've been having an affair for weeks, lying to my face, and you didn't mean for it to go this far." "I was unhappy, Alistair," she cried. "You were always working, always focused on your computer. I felt neglected, invisible, neglected," I roared. "I worked my ass off to provide for us, to give us a comfortable life. And this is how you repay me, by sleeping with someone else." "It wasn't just about sex, Alistair," she said, her voice pleading. "Kalen makes me feel seen. He appreciates me, he listens to me. You haven't done that in years." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She was trying to justify her betrayal, to make me the villain in her sordid little drama. "So, it's my fault you cheated on me?" I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "I'm not saying it's your fault," she said, her eyes welling up again. "I'm just saying you weren't giving me what I needed." Kalen was. She didn't answer. The silence was deafening, a confirmation of her guilt. I stood up, my legs shaking, my heart aching. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "What?" she gasped. "I want you to pack your things and get out of my house. I can't stand to look at you." "Alistair, please," she begged. "Don't do this. We can work through this. We can go to therapy. There's nothing to work through, Bront," I said, my voice cold and final. "You broke my trust. You shattered our marriage. It's over." She pleaded and cried, begging for forgiveness, promising to end the affair. But I was unmoved. The image of her in Kalen's arms was seared into my brain, a permanent stain on our relationship. That night she slept in the guest room. I lay awake in our bed, staring at the ceiling, tears streaming down my face. 15 years gone in an instant, destroyed by lies and infidelity. The next morning I contacted a lawyer. I filed for divorce, citing adultery as the reason. Bront was devastated. She begged me to reconsider, but I refused. I couldn't forgive her, couldn't forget what she'd done. The divorce was messy and bitter. Bront fought for everything she could get, claiming I was emotionally abusive and demanding a large share of our assets. But I had proof of her affair, and the judge ruled in my favor. She received a fraction of what she wanted, and I kept the house. After the divorce was finalized, I felt empty. The pain was still there, a dull ache in my chest. But there was also a sense of relief, a feeling of freedom. I was no longer tied to a liar, a cheat, a betrayer. I decided to make a fresh start. I sold our house in Chicago and moved to Denver, a city I'd always dreamed of living in. I bought a small condo with a view of the mountains and threw myself into my work. I started hiking, skiing, and exploring the city. I met new people, made new friends, and slowly began to rebuild my life. But the scars of Bront's betrayal remained. I found it difficult to trust women, to open myself up to the possibility of love again. I went on a few dates, but nothing ever felt right. I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the inevitable betrayal to come. One day, a year after my move, I received a message on LinkedIn. It was from a woman named Gwyneth, a former colleague of Bront's. "Alistair, I know this is out of the blue, but I felt I needed to reach out to you," she wrote. "I have some information about Bront and Kalen that you might want to know." Intrigued, I agreed to meet Gwyneth for coffee. She was a kind, compassionate woman, and I immediately felt comfortable in her presence. "I always suspected something was going on between Bront and Kalen," she said, her voice low. "They were always together at work, whispering and laughing. But I didn't have any proof until after you left." Gwyneth explained that after Bront and I divorced, she and Kalen had moved in together. But their relationship was far from blissful. "They fought constantly," Gwyneth said. Kaelin was controlling and manipulative and Bront was miserable. Then Gwyneth revealed the bombshell. Kaelin wasn't just having an affair with Bront, she said. He was also sleeping with several other women in the office. He was a serial cheater, a predator. I was stunned. Bront had left me for a man who was even worse than she was. Did she know? I asked. Eventually, yes, Gwyneth said. She found out about the other women and confronted him. They had a huge fight and he ended up leaving her. She was devastated, alone, and broke. I felt a strange mix of emotions. Pity for Bront, anger at Kaelin, and a sense of vindication. She had gotten what she deserved. Karma had finally caught up with her. Bront tried to contact me a few weeks ago, Gwyneth continued. She wanted to apologize to you, to tell you how sorry she was for what she did, but I told her to leave you alone. You deserve to be happy, Alistair. You don't need her dragging you down again. I thanked Gwyneth for her honesty and her support. As I walked away from the coffee shop, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I finally understood that Bront's betrayal wasn't about me. It was about her own insecurities and flaws. I realized that I couldn't let her actions define me, couldn't let the pain of the past control my future. I had to move on, to forgive myself, and to open my heart to the possibility of love again. It wasn't easy, but I did it. I started dating again, cautiously at first, but with increasing confidence. I met a wonderful woman named Aloan, a kind, intelligent, and compassionate soul. We connected on a deep level, and I found myself falling in love again. Aloan understood my past, my fears, and my vulnerabilities. She never judged me, never pressured me, and always made me feel safe and loved. With her, I was able to heal the wounds of the past and embrace the future with hope and optimism. 2 years later, Aloan and I got married in a small ceremony in the mountains. It was the happiest day of my life. As I looked into her eyes, I knew that I had finally found my true love, my soulmate. Bront's betrayal had been a painful chapter in my life, but it had also taught me valuable lessons about love, trust, and forgiveness. It had made me stronger, more resilient, and more appreciative of the good things in my life. I never heard from Bront again, and I didn't try to contact her. I had moved on, and she was a distant memory, a ghost from my past. I had found happiness again, and that was all that mattered. Years later, I was at a grocery store when I saw Bront. She looked disheveled and worn, pushing a cart with a small child. She didn't see me, and I quickly turned and walked the other way. I didn't feel anger or resentment, just a tinge of sadness. Her life had taken a different path, a path filled with hardship and regret. I knew I had made the right choice. My life was full, happy, and peaceful. I smiled, grateful for all that I had. The whole experience taught me that even the deepest betrayals can be overcome. It showed me the importance of self-worth, resilience, and the power of forgiveness. And most importantly, it led me to find a love that was true, lasting, and unconditional.